Hi everybody and welcome to this webinar from TextHelp. This is the fourth and final webinar in our remote learning webinar series, and today we're going to be talking about maths and science, and there I am on your screen in a remote learning environment. My name's Fiona and I'm the Learning and Teaching Specialist at TextHelp. My role is to help you get the most out of the software, and today we're going to be looking at EquatIO, but we will be focusing on it with a remote learning slant. But I think too, because we know that we're kind of moving away in a lot of parts of Australia from remote learning, all the things that I'm talking about today really resonate when you're thinking about online learning with maths as well. You can find me at f.thomas@texthelp.com if you have any questions, or at Fiona MCI on Twitter. Greg and I make up the EdTech team for the Asia Pac region, so that's all of Australia and New Zealand. So you can always find us normally out and about sharing our information, and at the moment you find us a lot online. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The resources will be sent out to you via email. Being the last webinar, you won't have to wait too long. They should come out to you in the next day or two. And so don't worry about that. Any of the things that I talk about, you'll be able to access. This is a listen-only session, so you've got your GoToWebinar control panel, which generally pops up on the right-hand side of your screen. You've got your microphone set as muted by me. If you have any questions, please click on the little triangle. It'll drop the question pane down. Type your question in there. I will be, the questions go directly to me, so not everybody can see those questions. If I think it's something that everybody needs to find out about, then we'll certainly share that. And Barb's helping me out with the question answering today, because I'll be talking about things, but if she has something that we think that we need to find out, share with everybody, we'll certainly do that. So let's get started. I thought we'll just do a check-in first, and we've done this with each of our sessions. So on a scale of memes, thinking about all of these very cute little dogs and cats, oh, and we've got a bird as well, how are you feeling today? I'm at the end of so in your little question panel in GoToWebinar, you can just type in a number. For me today, I'm kind of, I'm a bit of 8 because it's been an incredibly busy week for us. This is the 8th of 9 webinars I will do this week. But I'm feeling kind of 1 because I'm pretty happy that I'm almost at the end of this week and moving on to do some other stuff. So pop a number in, tell me how you're feeling, and we'll keep going along. Okay. Let's think about the remote and online learning challenges that we're facing when we're thinking about maths. And the little photo on the left-hand side of your screen, I actually found online recently. And we've got, I thought it was really apt to really think about maths in terms of what is going on at the moment and the range of things that we're trying to do when we look at online learning. We've got, students who have got a whole range of tasks that they have to do, and how do we know that they're actually completing those tasks? How do we assign those tasks? How do we use manipulatives online? How do we correct and assess that work, and how do we know that our students are engaged? So when we're thinking about remote and online learning, these are some of the challenges that we're facing. We've got some people who are feeling 3, going back to our slide, and some people who are feeling 8. So lots of things going on there. Okay, can everybody hear me now? just type in a little yes for me. All right. Okay, so we had some people typing that they were feeling 3 and some people that were typing in 8. I'm not sure. Barb, can you just let me know, did we lose sound before?
Sound's been fine for me, but someone has indicated they've lost sound, but we're logging back in and trying again.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm glad that it was okay. So we've got these challenges that we have to face. So let's keep going along and seeing. And you can see there's lots of steps: watching the video, doing the worksheet, taking the picture of the worksheet, attaching it to the assignment, and then clicking the work as done. So lots of different things that we've got to do there. So how can EquatIO help some of these challenges that you face when you're thinking about doing maths online? Now, online could be on a public screen in your classroom. It could be on a desktop or a laptop computer. We'll even be able to show you some of the ways that you can use a mobile device. So let's have a bit of a look. EquatIO is one of the 4 key pieces of our educational software here at TextHelp, and it's all about making maths digital. We've also got Read and Write, our newest piece of software, EquatIO, and Fluency Tutor, which is reading software. So when we're thinking about maths and STEM, we want to think about the tasks that we need to complete, and then the tools that will give us the flexibility to be able to do that in the way that we want to. So EquatIO, just to get started and let you know where you can use it, EquatIO is available in the full G suite of tools. So it's a Chrome extension that will work in docs, in forms, in slides and sheets and drawings. It's also a desktop application for Windows and Mac devices. It comes as our kind of newest piece of the puzzle is the MathSpace as a separate web app for Google Chrome, Firefox and Safari. Now these are all, I'll explain a little bit more as we go along. And it's also been embedded into a number of learning management systems. So if your school or jurisdiction currently has a subscription to Canvas, Brightspace, DTL or Schoolology, then you'll be able to with your EquatIO subscription, access it within those learning management systems. And I know that they have our product evangelist, Louis, has lots of ideas for it to be embedded into a range of other learning management systems as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it, depending on the platform and the type of maths that you're doing. So to give you a really quick overview, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the way that it does this, and if you're interested in more detail about this, you can go to our YouTube channel or you can head to one of our fundamental webinars on EquatIO. But the toolbar has multiple ways that you can create maths. So we've got an equation editor, we've got graphing by Desmos, we've got the ability to write using LaTeX. We've got handwriting, so you can handwrite your maths if you've got a touchscreen device, or if you've got a pen, you can do it that way. We've got speech input, we've got mobile input for our maths, and then of course our MathSpace icon, and then the screenshot reader. So this makes up essentially the tools that we have on our toolbar. Now, it looks really simple, but one of the things I think you'll find when you start to use EquatIO is it gives you lots of flexibility in the way that you can create your maths, and it also gives students lots of ability to be able to do that as well. So let's quickly run through what these look like. Maths prediction, you can see on your screen as I start to type the word, so I might type SQ for squared, I get the range of options that start with squared, and I can select the one that is correct. So I've got the word and I've got the symbol, and I can pop that straight into my EquatIO math space that you can, my EquatIO workspace that you can see at the bottom. And we've got a really large range of math, chemistry, individual maths symbols, chemistry and maths formulas as well. When we're talking about LaTeX, we're talking about the ability to, this is for more advanced users, so create maths expressions in the LaTeX language, and we do that on the right, on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side of the screen, EquatIO creates them in maths that, as a primary school maths teacher, I would be more familiar with the right-hand side of the screen. But we've got the ability to use that if that's something that you use, and probably in a senior or a senior high school or tertiary setting, that might be something that you use a lot of. We've also got Desmos graphing built into the toolbar, so that's the ability to insert graphs into all of those document types that I talked about earlier, so whether it's a Word doc or whether it's any of those G Suite of tools. And Desmos is really, it's incredibly simple, but allows to create really complex graphs, and also graphs that are very accessible as well, if that's something that you're thinking about for the diverse range of learners. So you can include things like sound on when you're plotting points so that it will be an audible graph, all sorts of things. It's a great tool. We've got the ability, as I said, to write. So we write on the left-hand side of our screen, and EquatIO creates that as digital maths on the right-hand side, and then drop that digital maths into whatever document we choose. And we've also got the ability to actually say our maths. So we could just say it out loud, and the speech recognition will ensure that it becomes digital maths on the right-hand side, and we can insert that maths into our document as well. So you can see there's lots of different input methods on that toolbar. But what I want to talk about, because as well as those input methods, is the EquatIO Math Space, and that's a tool on the toolbar as well. And we'll be able to use all of those ways to create maths in the Math Space. Now, the Math Space can be a web-based app, as we saw in Google Chrome, Safari, or Firefox. And what this now means is that it's available across the range of devices. So whether you're on an iPad, whether you're on a Chromebook, whether you're on a desktop or a laptop computer. And it provides a complete workflow. So we've got the ability to create using all of those tools and all of the inbuilt manipulatives that are inside the math space. We then can assign that to students, whether it be through Google Classroom, through an email, or inserting a link into any document type. We can assess students and provide, we can mark, annotate, and provide feedback through this math space. And then, of course, the students can complete the work prior to us assessing it. All right. So let's have a look at what it looks like for a primary class. So we've got a really simple example here that we'll show you, which is using a 10 frame. And so this is in the math space, and the student is just going to use those counters to represent the word problem that they've got up the top there. So we can add in scaffolding, we can add in the ability for that problem to be read aloud for students if we wanted to. But for the majority of students, they're going to be able to read that problem and then just complete the task with inside math space. And this is an example of something that I would have that I created just to give you a bit of an idea. So this is in Google Slides, and it shows you. So this is something that I was responsible for in my as assistant principal for my stage for some maths activities. So this would be something that I would give to teachers, and it's got the video of that we're looking at. The book, 1 is a snail, 10 is a crab. We've got a range of resources that I think are the sort of resources they could use. Now, obviously, they're linked to those. And these activities here are linked to the math space, so that if we click on that, it will open up the math space directly from that slide, and it will give the activity. Now, the teacher would then click Save Now, and this activity will save into their teacher dashboard. So I'm not going to do that because I've already got it saved in mine. And then I've got the ability to complete that task. So I can share my activities with my teachers. as well as with my students. So that just gives you a bit of an idea of the sorts of things that you can do. And down the bottom on the left-hand side, you can see an activity that I've actually created using this math space. So we've created it using words, the equation, my number, and then some pictures. So that's a primary example. In secondary classes, it's a space for students, again, to show their work, but that could be a different type of work. They can click on the graphs to bring them into their EquatIO and work on that and show the representation that they need to show. So, for example, exactly the same kind of thing. Now, this won't open up in presentation mode, so I'm just going to we might come back to this later, but this is straight out of the math space. It's got the link, it's embedded into the slide, and we could click on that in the same way, and the student would go to that workspace, and they've got the ability to edit that graph and complete it as well. And then, of course, if we're thinking about advanced maths, in the math space, we've got that ability to ensure that we've got text and numbers and space for student to complete the task. So we can pop all of that in there and then share that with our students. And even things like, now on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see a really old engineering paper. And on the left-hand side, you can see the math space that I've pulled out all of those elements so that if students had to recreate that diagram, they've got all of the elements they need to be able to rotate and do all the things that they might want to do with that. So lots of different things that we can and create that. We've got the ability to create the symbols that they need so that that diagram can be created, and then create and then share that back with their teacher. So doesn't matter what level of maths you're completing, the math space has got something for you. So there's two ways that we can do this. So let's have a bit of a look at the first way, which is to type in equatio.texthelp.com into your browser on those three. So Safari, which allows it to be on an iPad as well, and you will come up with My Spaces. So I'm going to do that for you now. Texthelp.com, and you can see that it comes up with my math space. And here are all my spaces. So I can decide how they're arranged. The most recent one is the first one that you'll see. So that's the one that I just showed you again, but it was down a little bit before. You can see that if I've made a copy of someone's, like I was talking about the copy of any of those activities, it comes up as a copy. Now I can change that title if I want to. And I've got all of my math spaces here with all the different manipulatives and ways that I would like to create whatever it might be. And you can see that I'm fairly primary focused in terms of my math spaces, but I've tried to include some looking at the range of activities that you might be able to do. So on the left-hand side of my EquatIO dashboard, first of all, I have all of the spaces that I've created. The next thing I have is the assignments that I've actually sent out to the students. And you can see that whether no one's looked at this, I've got no responses. I've got 3 responses here. And if I move down to perhaps something like this tangram, I've got 5 responses. So if I click on this one here, I can have a really quick look, and obviously many of you will have more than 5 responses, but I can scroll up and down and look at the responses and just get a quick overview of where my students are, who's answered, who hasn't answered. With this one here, the students opened it, but they haven't actually done anything with it. So I want to be able to, at a glance, I can really check in and see. And then you can see that there's some typing. Great work, Dolly. I love your butterfly. That's the teacher feedback that I've actually provided to the student. Now I can do that so that it's written, and then I can also have it read aloud inside the EquatIO math space. So very quickly I can gather whether or not my students are engaged in what I've sent them, how far along they are, and then if they've completed it, it's going to be sitting here for me saying students have submitted it. So that's the responses for just the one assignment. Then, because for ease of use, I'm also a student, and so I've submitted some assignments. And so what your students actually have is this tab. They'll have their spaces and they'll have their submitted assignments, and you can see, they can see what they've done. And they can also archive them as well if they want to, so move them out of their submitted assignments once they're completed. So we've got the range of the tools on the left-hand side. So let's go back and have a bit of a look at how I would create a space. There's lots of things that I can do. I'm just going to do something really quickly to give you an idea of what it looks like. So I click on my new fresh palette. Now, at the moment, one of the most exciting features that will be coming along soon is multiple pages. So my math space at the moment has the one canvas space. So that's what I'm going to use today. I'm going to call this one, What Do I Notice? Now, I've got all of the ability to use my equation editor, all of those features I just talked about along the bottom. I've got a whole bunch of shapes. So this is where all of our manipulatives come in. So we've got coins and tangrams and pattern blocks, all of those 2D and 3D shapes. We've got the nets. We've got the ability, as I showed earlier, to create electrical diagrams, also to create logic diagrams, all sorts of things that you might want to do. And then lots of bits and pieces along the end as well when we're thinking about STEM, whether it be if they want to show, you know, that gears and a diagram, those sorts of things, they've got the ability to do that. I've got the ability to freehand draw in here and also to draw lines and shapes. Then I've also got the ability to use any of these smart shapes. And I'll just give you, before we do what I want to do, a really quick idea. When I've clicked on that, I can change the number of segments within my fraction circle, and I can also change the number that is shaded as well. So I can really quickly create a range of activities using those smart shapes. So I'm going to delete that one. And what I want to do is I want to add something from my desktop. So I've got this picture here that I want to use for this activity. So I've literally clicked and dragged it into my workspace. Now, I can enlarge that. I don't really want to, because what I want the students to do is I want them to be able to tell me what they notice and what they wonder about this. So they can use their equation editor to just start typing. And then they can insert that maths. And they might want to do some freehand drawings. So they may want to, you know, point out that we've got all of these little circles in each one. They might want to show me that there are 9 parts to that. Whatever it may be that they want to tell me about this diagram, they've got the ability to do that. Now, when they're ready to tell me what they've noticed about this, they can share that with me over here. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So, sorry, I can share it with them when I've decided what it is that I want to share with them. Sorry, I got a step ahead of myself. So I can make a copy for each person, or I can make a copy and expect a response. So if I want each student I'm hopeful that they're going to do this, but this is not a mandatory task, then I can just make a copy. Or if I'm sharing it with staff, I would just make a copy. But if I want to get a response, click there. And here's my link. So we've got the ability to drop it straight into Google Classroom, but I've also got the ability to copy that unique link and then pop that wherever I like. So whether it be in a slide deck or a PowerPoint presentation, whether it be in a Word document, whether it be in a third-party app like Seesaw, whatever it may be, wherever I can share a link, I can pop that in as well. So really nice and easy. But let's have a look at what it looks like with the Google Classroom, because I think everyone's fairly comfortable with being able to drop a link into a document and share it that way. So I can share to my classes. I've got a number of classes. I can choose an action, so it can be an assignment, whatever it may be. It might be just to create material. And then it will pop straight in. I can populate all of these. There's my link to my EquatIO math space. And I can pop my description in. I can decide whether I assign it to all students or just some students. That's the Google Classroom. And then I can post it into my Google Classroom. And if I want to view that, and there it is. I posted new material. What do you notice? What do you wonder? The student clicks on that and then they are taken straight to the math space. They'll have to sign in first, but they'll be taken to that math space. So really nice and easy. And if they're normally, if they're already signed in, that's a very quick process. They'll sign in with either their Google or Microsoft login. That's what this screen looks like. See, I'm already signed in, so it's going straight there. And there it is. So that's the workflow that you've got. Now, that's great, but what if I want to actually, I'm going to close that one down so we don't have too many open. What if I actually want to, you know, provide some feedback for students? So let's go to an assignment and just go to a 10 frame. So as the teacher, I can look at this and I've created this, sent it off to my students through Google Classroom. And you can see over here, I've got leave feedback for the student and then send back to the student. So while I'm in feedback view, I can then use the equation editor and the text. And then I can insert this, whatever it may be. We'll just pop that down because we need to pop this down the bottom. And you can see over here that I can add speech and it will read that out aloud. So even if I'm working with really young students, I can give them feedback that they can access. And then when I'm ready, whatever it might be, I can send that back to the student. Now, it could be that I've popped on there that you need to show me you're working out or you need to explain your solution a little bit more, whatever it may be, pop that on, send back to the student. And it lets me know that I've done that and it's all good. So that shows you the workflow that you have when you have EquatIO Math Space and as a web-based app. So that's the first part of the puzzle. Let me just close. What happens is you end up with a lot of windows open. Now, there's another way that you can use EquatIO, so the math space, to provide that. And the second method is to insert the math space into some slides. So let's take a quick little look at that, or any of those G Suite tools, the docs, the sheets, the slides, the forms. I'm going to show you in some Google Slides just really quickly. So let's say, for example, that I have, I've done this work and I've got my slides ready. We're doing tangrams. I want to be able to insert the link so that when my students click on this, they're going to go straight to the activity. Obviously, it's a quite young aged activity. I want to be able to do this. So what I'm going to do is go back to my math space. This is something that I created a while ago. There it is. Going to click on this, and if you haven't seen these are from Dr. Paul Swan, and we have his permission to use these. We've got the tangram, and you can see I've started to fiddle around with that. And I want to get the link, so I'm going to click here, make a copy for each person. And then I can go back exactly the same way, click on there, click on the link, insert my link, and it's done. So that's the way that I've just shown you. This way, we've got our ability to put a picture from the math space into the slide and then complete that task. So with EquatIO open along the bottom, with my slides not in presentation mode but in edit mode, I can click on the picture and then say edit the maths, and it will take me to my EquatIO math space because I've inserted that math space into, and you can see over here, the slideshow. So there's lots, and then the student can complete this. We'll just move a couple open, and then when they're ready to insert that, you can see that we'll need some blank slides, and they can click here, insert, and wherever the cursor is, it's going to go back to that slide and it will insert their version of what they've done. Now, what I love about this is that I can then have a digital copy with my maths manipulatives of all of the different responses that students may have made. Now, depending, this task, obviously, we want them all to look the same, but for other tasks where it might be create your own tangram, we then have a slide deck where we've got, you know, potentially 30 different possibilities, and students could then look at the different ways that people have thought about things, because we know there's not always the right answer. We can look at the different ways that students have solved that problem, and it's all there digitally for me without me having to do anything. Now, for younger students, you might create those slides with different colors. For older students, they're going to be able to just insert a slide prior to inserting their EquatIO information. So they're the two different ways that you can use EquatIO Math Space. And remember, this can pop into all of those suite of tools. So let's go back and keep moving along. And that's another example. This is something that I've just created. It was just me for a bit of fun, just to show you the range of things. So if we're thinking about something like shapes, we've got the ability to sort them. We've got the ability to create the net and the shape, different kind of sorting activity over here, naming these shapes, and then, you know, making polygons with the squares, activity, lots and lots of different things. And you'll have access to all of these after this session. So let's have a look at a different tool. If you have any questions about the math space, I'm happy to answer them, but hopefully that's fairly straightforward to you, the two different ways that you can use it. Let's go on to the screenshot reader, which is another feature, and shows you how that you can access maths that perhaps can't be read aloud any other way. So it might be a picture on the web, or it might be maths that we need to access, and the screenshot reader allows you to do that really quickly. Now, what I haven't got is Let me just grab. And why might this be the case? So this is an example where this can be read aloud, but when they've inserted the maths, they've inserted it potentially as a picture. So let's get our screenshot reader up. And we're going to go around that text so that it can be read aloud.
Two lines, line 1. The fraction with numerator f of open paren x sub 0 close paren plus f of open paren x sub 1 close paren and denominator 2 normal triangle x.
So you can see it's starting to read that aloud. Now that's great, but what if I wanted to drop this into a Word document or into something that I'm working with because I want to use this example, or I need to make it accessible for a student that I'm working with? I've got the ability under these three little dots to copy it as the LaTeX or copy it as MathML. Now what that allows is that it takes all of that information so that perhaps if it's a student who has needs with low or no vision, then they've got the ability to have that read aloud as maths, which is exactly what we want to be able to do, and it's really, really easy. So MathML adds sort of this additional layer to the sum where it will allow it to be read. So you heard it had two lines, first line, and then explaining what the different things are. And if someone was copying this into Braille, this would make this a lot easier as well. So I copy the MathML and I'll just drop this down, open up EquatIO. There it is, and here's my Word document. Yeah. There it is. And I'm going to open up my equation editor. Let's go back and do that one more time. Like that. And I should be able to. There we go. And then it opens it up as a sum that can be edited, and it's in Word's equation editor as well if you need that, or you can drop that back into the equation editor. All right, so that gives, I'll just delete all of that. That's got all the MathML underneath it. So if I wanted to edit that, I'm going to edit that maths, and it will drop it back into, keeps losing its, should drop it back in. All right, I edit it, I pop it back into here, and I can edit my maths. All right, let's keep going. And my screenshot reader will pop up anywhere on a web page, on a PDF, anything that it has access to in the Google Chrome environment. So that gives you a really quick idea of what that looks like. Let's keep going, because we've got a few more things to show you before we finish. This is just another example. Screen capture, use the MathML or the LaTeX, and you can capture that really complex maths, whether you drop it into Google or whether you drop it into Word. EquatIO Mobile, so what this allows you to do is to use a mobile device, whether it be a phone or an iPad, and this is really useful for perhaps STEM activities where we haven't got the ability to take our laptop with us. And you can capture an image of the maths and then transfer it to a laptop or a desktop computer using the EquatIO. Up the top there, you can see you sign in on your device, and then it will connect it to the laptop that you're connected to. And you can take handwriting, you can use handwriting, speech, or a photo as well. So let's have a bit of a look at what that looks like. You can see that we've got the active document, and there it is. Take a photo of the maths. That's my answer. Save as math or save as an image. And it drops into the math space. So one of those issues that we've seen lots of people having over time is this, last few months is how do we get it from a student's book to a digital device, or so that I can correct that work? And this is a solution to that problem. All right, now we're going through lots of stuff, so hopefully it's just giving you a quick overview of the kind of things that we can do. EquatIO for learning management systems. So what does that look like? Now, if you're familiar with learning management systems, you know that lots of them have apps sort of built into them. And so it's exactly the same math editor as you would use when you're using EquatIO outside of these learning management systems. And let's have a bit of a look at what it looks like in Canvas. So I've got a quick little video that will show you what it looks like. So that gives you a really quick look at how to create an assignment in Canvas. So if you're using Canvas and your school has a subscription to EquatIO, then obviously it's something that you can access. And you can see here in Brightspace by DTL that it's also an app that you can access, and it's for domains license holders for EquatIO. And it looks a little bit differently, but of course, because all learning management systems are a little bit different, but still very nice and easy to pop things into Brightspace DTL. And we'll keep going along. And then, of course, Schoolology. At the moment, Schoolology is access for teachers, and we're waiting for Schoolology to do something so that we can give access to students as well. But that's an integration that we have in Schoolology too. So they're the three learning management systems at the moment. Now, EquatIO for Windows and Mac, you saw before. It's probably the one that I know that a lot of teachers use Word documents to create, and so it doesn't matter which device or platform, you can use EquatIO with a Word document as a desktop application. And it's got the ability through the equation editor, because we've got more depth at the moment with Google, and that's purely and simply because it was created by someone who was using all the Google tools, and so they just wanted something that worked in Google. So TextHelp have been working over the last 12 months to ensure that it works in a similar way in Word, and they've actually added a couple of things, and you can see there the ability to copy in a variety of formats, so that if you do want to put this maths created by EquatIO into any of those other file types, whether it be Excel or whatever it may be, then you've got the ability to do that with EquatIO by using that copy that's popping up on the right-hand side of your screen. And then you can save that maths and insert it wherever you would like to. So whether that be, as you can see, as a PowerPoint presentation, and then drop it in there. So lots of ways that you can still use it within those Microsoft suite of tools. And going back to the one space idea, the math space idea, oh my goodness, in OneNote, what you can do is drop those links into your OneNote document, and the students can go straight to those from there as well. So there's no reason that it doesn't work in the suite of tools. It's just adding it in a different way. So we're getting close to the end of our session, but I just want to run you through the other thing that we've got is the ability, obviously, for it to drop into Google Forms. So it's perfect for creating maths quizzes, those sorts of things, and you can use it in the locked mode of forms. So, and it collects the responses in sheets. So it's very nice and easy. So here's a quick look. There's the EquatIO icon. Student can, teacher can create this way, and student can answer this way as well. So you can see, use that to create all the things that you need for your quiz in Google Forms. So you've got the ability to add the images, to add graphs from the Desmos graphing, to auto mark answers, and the students have still got their multiple ways to express themselves and through the EquatIO toolbar. All right, so before we finish, I'd like to just run you through something that's a little bit, I wasn't sure whether we get time for this, so I don't have a slide for it. But what I've done is I've taken a fractions worksheet, and what I want to be able to do is I want to complete this. It's a PDF. So I've got the TextHelp PDF reader. So if you've got Read and Write for Google Chrome at your school, then you've got access to the TextHelp PDF reader. And I want to be able to complete these sums. So I've also got my equation at my EquatIO toolbar down the bottom. I'm completing this I'm doing number 9 just because it's for ease of use. I'm going to increase the size of my workspace. What I need to do is answer the last question. And then what I want to do is I want to insert this maths into my document. So I pop it in and it ends up over here, which is kind of disappointing because obviously I want it to be the answer to this question over here. What I can do, because I've got the PDF reader open, is I can click on here and I can actually drag that maths over to where it should be. If I'm happy with that, I can click the tick and my maths can stay there. Now, if my teacher opens this with the Read and Write PDF reader, they're going to be able to see that. Also, the PDF reader allows me to annotate this if I wanted to provide support to any students, and through Google Classroom, I can actually send those annotations off to students. They open it up with the PDF reader and then complete that. So if I wanted to play that out aloud.
2 lines, line 1, 1/4 plus 1/2 equals the fraction with numerator and denominator. Line 2, 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4.
And so it's read that correctly. It's been created by EquatIO. The student can check that they've written what they want to, and then click the tick, and they can actually send that off to their teacher and have that maths completed for them. So what we might do is I'll go back to, now any of these things like using the PDF reader, using EquatIO and PDFs, if you want to learn more about this, please, or the math space, we do all sorts of webinars that run through this in a little bit, not quite as quick time. So I'll just have a look and see if there are any questions that need answering. No, we're all good. Okay, so if you do have any questions, now's your time to ask. And if not, you can always ask me at f.thomas@texthelp.com, and know that we're going to get the range of resources for you so that you can get the quick start guides and all the different things you need to get going with EquatIO. And if you would like more information or spend some time one-to-one, then you can go through our texthelper.youcanbook.me and find and get myself or Greg or Dolly, who's our tech support person, and you can ask us a question, book a time, and we can give you a call, or we can do a hangout, we can do whatever it is that we need to do. So we've got lots of ways that we can give you support, and a range of things that whether it be, you know, materials, whether it's getting yourself set up with EquatIO, whether it's if you're having difficulties sharing it out with all of the students, deploying the software, whatever it may be. Generally, it's fairly easy. You feel free to contact us that way as well. All right, so if you have any general questions, you can contact us at asiapac@texthelp.com, and on the web at the address that you can see on your screen. I just thought I'd finish up and say thank you for joining us today, and I hope you found that useful, and you can go away and have a play with EquatIO. All right, thanks guys.